everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, I can see some new faces, and most of the faces I already knew. For those who don't know me, my name is Huan Pham Sun Jun just recommend, and I'm a Diamond Master, and I also a Center Manager of Melbourne Down Under in Springvale. So I hope you all enjoy your day so far today, whether you are doing atomy business or doing your other kind of work. And you have a very good time listening to other people, especially Barbara and Leonita about conversation plans, and watching the video from Chairman Park. So now my turn is to share with you my journey to become a sales master in atomy. So before I begin doing that, I would like to share my previous work before doing atomy. I was an IT consultant for 22 years and working for various companies. The majority of my work was with Telstra, and I started fresh out of university working, and I was loving every minute of it for the first 10 years because the contracting rate was so good in IT, and the IT world was just so interesting and a lot to learn. And as a result of that, I was doing long hours into late nights and weekends, doing mostly 60 hours per week. But I was eager to learn, and I didn't see that was a problem until 10 years into it. I was feeling my body was starting to deteriorate. I was having aching shoulders and back, and I was searching for some kind of relief, like massage. I tried physio, I tried chiro, I tried taking herbal medicines, and anything that people suggested to me, I would try. However, with massage, it's only lasted for 2 days. Other things that I tried, it didn't last long either. I was so much in pain, and the pain that occupied my mind all the time, constantly. And I just feeling very weak, and I lost interest in life because when you are feeling very lethargic and you didn't have the energy to do anything, of course you don't feel like doing anything else. As a result of that, I was seeing myself reaching into a very dark future as a crippled person and a very heavy burden for my family and friends. At the time, I was doing 24/7 production support for an IT company. And I was constantly under pressure because as the production support, for the very highly commissioned system, is very, very too much pressure. And I did have since I was doing that production support for the 10 years, I didn't have a good night's sleep because every night I went to bed, I would be thinking, what if something would go wrong? And I was thinking of all the solutions that I might try to fix the problem if they arise. So each morning, because of the lack of sleep, I dragged myself out of bed to go to work for some more years. And because the rate and the money was good, I just couldn't try other work. And I love helping people as well. So with that money, I can help a lot of people. But I was in such a very bad shape. Even I couldn't turn my body while I was in bed or changing position. It was such an effort. And because of the weak body and the lack of interest in life, I was thinking that I could collapse at any time. And the pressure at work as well. So I was so worried that I might, have a heart attack. I was thinking like that, leaving my 2 little boys behind without a mother. So it took me the whole year to eventually make a very difficult decisions to resign from the very hectic work schedule. So I resigned, and over the next 2 months after my resignation, I was pondering what was I do next. I do have a lot of interest, like designing and making jewelries, handmade craft work, or taking care of children, cooking, reading, and swimming. But when I look at them, they cannot bring in the money right away. I have to do so much more, like, marketing and learning and designing, promoting, etc. And then another thing is the capitals to invest into those kind of things. So I just took the 2 months watching drama, Korean drama. I think that was the best time of my life. I was eating my favorite food, and eventually for the whole month, my high blood pressure was zooming up. So, and I was at the library a lot. So one day I was at the library, and one of the staff was suggested to me, partly because he saw me a lot at the library. So why don't I do a library work course? So I thought, what a bright idea. Why didn't I think about that? I do love books, and I do love reading. So I enrolled to do a library course for 1.5 years. And I started working at the Melbourne City Library soon after. So I was so lucky. At the time, even though a lot of people were doing the library courses, but I got in early. And those people who study those library courses after me, it's very hard for them to find work. And I got into the library work, and I love books. Everywhere I saw books. And I enjoyed it so much. Taking care of the books on the display and then introduce books to the new people or the patrons who came to the library, searching for their favorite books or for their favorite author. I would take them to the shelf. But I still not well, because working at the library doing 2 to 4 hours shift work was having a lot of pressure on my knees. So my knees. That's how my knees look when I was working at the library for 2 to 4 hours shift work. I was in so much pain, and the back aches and all that. But I enjoyed so much. So I was working for a few years at the library. But then the salary at the library was just only a quarter of what I was getting in IT. So I started, because I like to help people, so that's why I started looking for other alternatives. During this time, I was introduced to 1 MOM, then 2, then 3, then 4, and 5, I think. There's so many MOMs that they all of a sudden attacking me. But I got into the first MOMs duly because my niece introduced me to it. And I trusted her, so I joined. My niece was always against the MOM, so I thought if she joined, then it must be good. She told me since joining this travel company, she saved a lot of money. And I, as a member, pay monthly fee and accumulate the points, which can be redeemed for cheap airfare or accommodations when I want it. So if I pay over a certain period of time, maybe 1 year, then I would be eligible to redeem the points. The concept was logical, saving up the monthly fees, just like saving money in the bank. But you get other benefits from the travel companies. And the MOM travel company will look around the world for the best airfare or the best travel deals all year round for the members. So I was happy because it's just easy, isn't it? At the time, a lot of people were traveling, and the airfare was quite cheap as well. So I thought I could share these opportunities to all my friends who were sort of quite well off at the time. I mean, they were in their 50s already, so they sort of take it easy. The children were grown up, and they were enjoying their life. So they were traveling a lot. And I saw them searching high and low for the best deals, so when they travel. So I thought, this is a good one, I can share. And best of all, I can buy the deal for them if they want to. But it was not the case when I later found out. So I arranged the time, and the upline of my niece actually organized to get the first presentation as she went through the conversation plan with me, and then how to invite people, and the usual MLM process to invite and follow up, etc., etc. So eventually she organized for me to do the first presentation. So she asked me to invite friends and family to that very first presentation. I got to invite around 8 people, and the upline actually flew down from Brisbane for that very first presentation night. Everything was prepared, you know. I mean, that was my very first meeting. I prepared food, you know, drinks, leaflet chairs, and even the flowers, eagerly waiting for the people to turn up. So we sat there, waited and waited and waited, but none turned up. So half an hour into the meeting time, I ran them one by one, and I heard all the excuses from them not to come. I was so devastated, you know, because she was sitting there waiting, and I just couldn't convince anyone to come. It was very sad. So I felt bad, and but she didn't say anything. But from that night on, I didn't invite any other people to the meeting again because I was still shocked from it. So, but I still go into the meetings and seminars from those 2 MLMs. And at those meetings, I met other people. And then we talk and we share our stories. Some people said to me that they've got some very good travel deals from the travel MLMs. And others, they said they just didn't, you know, it wasn't easy for them, and they were just hanging on to see if the travel MLM could do anything for them. For me, I just couldn't redeem anything at all. So next one. So I got introduced to another MLMs, and I decided to do 2 at the time. So, but these people, when they get me into the MLM's business, they always tell me, Huan, you should have a backup plan. But no one ever told me, Huan, just dream it, work hard, and the dream will eventually come true. So they just keep on switching me from one MLM to another. So, and as I told you, so many MLMs out there on the market. So one day, I decided to do the 2 MLMs. And of course, I have to go through my contact list again. And Gina came on my list. I ran Gina. And Gina and I have known each other for a few years. And I'm a very good customer. So I ran her, and then she seemed understanding of what I was talking about, you know, the very first person who seemed to listen to what I was talking about. So she said to me, oh, all the MLM's products are very good except the price is very expensive. So I agreed with her, and then I went on, and I thought because she didn't know anything about MLM, so I explained, and then eventually I invited her to the meetings. But she said to me, I will be overseas in the next few days, so I will call you back after I come back. So after hanging up the phone, I was so happy. I was thinking, maybe I'm going to have the very first potential member to one of my 2 MLMs. So I waited, and sure enough, Gina called me back, as she promised, in the next few weeks. But she told me she only had 1 hour. I'm not sure whether it's the trap or anything. And she asked me to come to her house. Of course, I was waiting, and I was ready with all the MLM's materials and products, so I took them all with me, and I drove to her house. It was a very hot day, 40 degrees on Sunday, and I drove to her house, which was about over 30 minutes from my house. I arrived full of excitement. I remember vividly that I carried 2 bags of products and materials with me upstairs. Gina met me at the door. She took me to her living rooms, where I saw a lot of products on the floors and on the table. So, and as Gina said, she didn't have the time. So when I saw a lot of Korean products, I was drawn to it because I love Korean products already, and that was the reason why I became a very loyal customer of Gina, because she was having all the Korean products back then, and I was buying a lot from her. So that's why I was drawn to all those Korean products. Oh, Korean products. Oh. And then she said, can I share those products with you first? Oh my God. I said, out of courtesy. I said, okay, yes. And then little did I know, she took all the time talking about atomic products from one thing to another, one thing to another. Eventually the time was up. And then she said, I've got this sun cream. And because my face was burning hot, I didn't use any sun cream. I didn't like the sun cream at all because of all the products that I used, they're all very oily, greasy, and it's not very comfortable. So, of course, that was 40 degrees there, and my face was burning hot. So she offered to apply the sun cream on my face, and again, reluctantly, I let her. But surprisingly, it was quite soothing, and it wasn't greasy at all. So I didn't know what to say. So I didn't have a chance to share my 2 MLMs with her. I sadly picked up my 2 bags and walked down the stairs. And then when I got home, little did I know she poached me right and then. So when I got home, I said to myself, I was thinking to myself, what happened then? Gina asked me, how did I think about atomy products and whether I would like to do atomy with her. Since I've got all the experience, I can share my experience with her of how I think about atomy and the atomy as a company. But you know what? I didn't know what took over me. I said yes to her. I even agreed to fly over to Korea with her to find out about atomy company. And I did have fly phobia. I didn't know why I said yes. And then she asked me, you will come to Korea with me and do atomy with me. I also say yes. I said, was I under a spell? Did she hypnotize me? Or I was under an atomy spell. And when I came home, I said, what am I going to do? What am I going to tell my husband? Because we always go to places together. And now, if I say to him, I have to go to Korea by myself, what reason should I give to him? But again, I didn't know what to do. But I was thinking, I quite like atomy products. And I didn't regret when I say yes to Gina. And when I say okay to do atomy business with her, I started inviting people to Gina's house for facial trials. But whoever I invited, they all say yes to come. This time it's different. And they also invite their family and friends. And then the flood of people come into Gina's house every Tuesday night. And I was so lucky. It just seemed like natural. Whenever I open my mouth and invite, they will say yes and come. And of those people at Gina's house, every Tuesday night meeting, so I brought in so many people. They thought I was so experienced, and they heard that I was doing the MLMs before. They would ask me for advice how I did it, what sort of invitation, what invite text that I was using to invite people. But I said to them, they didn't know that I was such a failure in my previous MLMs. So I just tell them that it's just a casual invitation. I just tell them, would you like to come for a free facial? Try our Korean products or Korean cosmetic? No hidden agendas. And they just like it straight away. Maybe because these people already like Korean products, so when they heard me invite them to come for the free trial, they just, out of curiosity, they just say yes to try out the new products. But also, thinking back now, I think because of all my previous MLMs, invitations, I've got over 90% of people declining. So now I'm left with all the yes, out of the 4, you have 4 no and 1 yes. So that's probably what happened to me in Atomy. So it was quite successful. And also at the time, most of the Vietnamese ladies have already been used Korean cosmetics as well. But they're quite expensive, like Oh Hui, Sawashu, Oh Hu. It's very expensive, even though they're very good quality, but it's very expensive. So they might like to try something different as well. So I guess it was such a right time, the right product, and also the right price. So next thing, and that was happening at the end of 2015, all that. I was not yet a member because only a few people, Korean people, were a member, but the rest of us were just, consumer. But all of my family and friends still using a lot of products and skincare and shampoos, especially the hair tonic. Because a lot of Vietnamese men, they lost a lot of hair. So when I introduced the hair tonic to them, and they felt that they got the results, so a lot of people were buying, and also a lot of other people were buying to resell as well. So at the time, that was happening. So usually I would help to buy around 10 bottles at the time, and people around me were so curious because they think maybe only the Vietnamese men losing so much hair, not other people or other nationalities. But it was easy. I was really enjoying my time. Now I still have a very fond memories of those Tuesday nights at Gina's house. It's so much fun. We came, we enjoy, we chatted, and then we share our stories, and we help one another to do facials and to welcome new people. And I would look forward to those Tuesday nights. So every Tuesday night after work, I would go home, prepare dinner, and then I would drive to Gina's house. Usually, because I don't have time, so usually I would eat in the car, Usually, also those are the meetings that we had at Gina's house. We usually have a lot of food, a lot of snacks. And then when we have the facial, we will probably watch the Atomy company introductions. So these are the people that we have. So that's good. So and then I usually just eat dinner in the car. Nowadays, I just found out that if I get caught eating in the car from the police, I will get a fine. So I won't do that again. But these days, I was eating in the car a lot of the time, mostly every Tuesday night. Sometimes Gina cooked dinner, and then I come early and then share dinner with her. I love it. Everything started so well and meaningful. I felt I was contributing and helping people in using the absolute product at the absolute price. But then, as I wasn't a member, so I couldn't help other people, because even though we're consuming a lot of products, I couldn't help any other people to get the commission, because none of the Australian people were a member back then, 2015 and early 2016. So I couldn't help them to earn the commissions, but still, they just loved the product. They just kept on buying. They didn't care much about the commission back then. And Helmut Him was my savior, just like you. As I mentioned before, that my health was in such a bad shape. So even during the Atomy, I didn't believe in any other herbal products. So thanks to Gina for insisting me in taking the Helmut Him. So I took it for 2 months, and I woke up one morning. I just got up. I just feel full of energies. Usually I would drag myself slowly like an old lady. But that morning I just got up, like I sprung up. And I didn't have to drag myself out of bed ever since after that magical morning. Atomy products were starting to gain popularities in Melbourne, and we had quite a number of consumers. We were ordering a lot. Like it was quite quick. Like I think we ordered one on Tuesday, and then the next Monday it's already arrived, and then we sort of shared the products at the meetings. So Gina said, let's go to Korea to check out and ask Chairman Park to open a branch in Australia. since our team was growing quite fast. And then I told my husband, I'm going to Korea. And to my surprise, he didn't get a fast. So he said, So, and then I was still a bit worried about my flight phobia, but we still went ahead. So a group of 6 girls from Melbourne, 1 from Singapore, and 1 from Perth flew, and then we met up. So that we met up in Korea. And then the girl in the class, she was so chatty on the plane that I forgot that I already landed in Korea. I didn't realize. So we had so much fun the first trip. It was winter and it's just freezing. I was wearing the cloth, and when my friend took out the camera out of the phone to take photos, it turned off by itself. That's how cold it was. And then I was so worried that if I bend my fingers, it would snap because it was just so cold. It's just like stiff. I had never experienced that cold in my life. It's just freezing. And then that's our first time attending the theater. Just so much fun. And then the next slide is that the how you call it, Gina? Okay. So it's a lot of fun, especially the first trip. So we attended the very first Success Academy in Korea back in 2016, January 2016. And there I listened to Chairman Park's speech in person because I watched his video prior to going to Korea. But here at you've seen the Success Academy on the screen, the very big stadium. The atmosphere was just phenomenal. So when you go there, have a chance to go there, you would experience it's just so much love and it's just unbelievable. So I was there in person and I was deeply touched. I listened to Chairman Park's speech, but I could only guess from his body gestures because the interpretation was just slow. The Vietnamese, even the Vietnamese or the English one, both of them didn't deliver on time. So I was just watching and understood his body gesture a lot. And I knew I was in the right company because I just felt there's just so much love and the visions. So that was our second trip. And then coming back to Australia, I was full of energies. I was confident as well because I've seen that so many people were into the atomy business. So I share atomy products to all the people around me. Even I went on the tram or train or wherever, where I saw people with, little hair, I would suggest, this is my number if you ever need the hair tonic. So once again, Gina would help with the orders, and then we get the orders from Korea, and then I would do the unpackings and deliveries. So that's so much fun. From the second trip, we wear the costumes. Yes, do you have the car full of boxes? That was all you can eat, just huge. That was just huge, so many food. So coming back to Australia, so I've received the orders, and then the boxes. I usually have to have a car full of boxes, in the car at the front and in the boot as well. So I looked like I was buried under those boxes. I was tiny. So there I have to overcome another fear of driving to far places and unknown places because I'm not a very confident driver. So I have to overcome that fear to deliver the products to the people. But again, because of working long hours again to do all, unpacking those boxes and delivering those people to far and unknown places during late at night, with Hamo him, I didn't feel that I was lack of energy, always full of excitement. Even now, I feel that I always have 2 sachets a day to keep me, on my feet. So so that's and then we have the second trip, and then as the team growing, it keep on growing and growing. It's just so natural and fun. We didn't feel any obstacles. I mean, to me at least, I didn't feel any obstacle. In my previous MRMs, I didn't have a chance. But with Atomy, it's just flowing. So Gina then suggests that we go for the second Korean trip to show Chairman Park that we are serious about doing Atomy business. So T-shirts were designed, Gina designed the T-shirts with the word, "We want Atomy in Australia." Did show him like that. So we wore those shirts. Do you have the photos of that? Yeah, so we wore those T-shirts with that wording at the back. And then one of those trips that Gina went with other people, she did ask him to sign. So he did notice that we were serious, but there were some issues that it couldn't be done in Australia earlier. But thanks to Gina, she persisted, and she harassed him as well. True. That eventually we've got Australian Open in 2018, because he said 2020 is the year that we're going to open in Australia, but we cannot wait that long. we were really impatient, and then we tried to do anything to catch his attention so that he can change his mind to open in Australia. So we do one-day seminars in Sydney, and then we do one-day seminar in Melbourne, and then we show him all the activities that are happening in Australia, that Australia is a multicultural country. And just like Leonard said before, it's an open windows to all other countries. So these are the people from Sydney one-day seminar. And that guy is the center managers in Sydney. And I can't see other people. Did you see Sam there? Sam there as well. Yeah, so these are the early, the early times. So it was such fun times, yeah. So, and also we've got meetings with Emperor Master, Emperor Daku Lee. So he came to Australia a few times, and also as well as Grace. So thankfully they came to help us to understand more about Atomy and also how to build teams. So they came a lot, and then that's Crown Master Yu as well. So thanks to them that we have faith, and we just keep on doing Atomy business. So because of Gina's persistencies and harassments to Chairman Park, he eventually relented, and we that day has already come in 2018 July. That was a momentum time. It's just so emotional. I've got my first commissions after doing Atomy for 2.5 years. And also, I've also got my first mastership as well. And some people of my team also got their first mastership. So that pushed me that I didn't get, I've sort of surpassed sales master and then went straight to diamond at the time. So it was quite good. I actually proved to family and friends that Atomy business is a legitimate business. And not only me, but other people in my team also receiving commissions. So I feel really thankful and happy at the same time when Atomy decided to open a branch in Australia, just to make people get their rewards after doing Atomy for so long. And after seeing me 2.5 years going just like zigzag, here in St. Aubin, there in, sunshine and everywhere. I was just like that. doing deliveries and doing a lot of home visits and things like that. And we even went to Vietnam with Gina because they decided to, they were planning to open in Vietnam in 2016. So we, as a group, Gina also helped to come along. That we went to Vietnam to prepare the people for Vietnam opening. But that didn't happen. The government didn't let it happen. So even now, Vietnam has not opened yet. But we were doing a lot of hard work just to get people interest, also awareness about Atomy as a company, and also the Atomy products, and which is shared everywhere we go. And then we also have Alex Lee visiting the center. Yeah, so as the group growing very quickly, and most of my Vietnamese members, they cannot speak English very much. So I decided to open a center to help them to learn more about products comfortably and to know about the Atomy business in our own language easier. So Alex Lee came to my very first Atomy center. That wasn't that official, isn't it? That was before the Atomy launch in Australia. So I just opened a place, like a very informal centers for people to come and share. So they come and share, and they bring more people because they feel comfortable having someone speaking their own language. So we do facial together. It's just so much fun, and because of the center's work, I've decided I want to focus 100% running the centers. So again, for the second time, I resigned from my library work. But I didn't regret. I think that was the right decisions that I have made so far to help my people, my member, doing Atomy and learning about products and about the business. We love helping one another, not only my team, but all the other members from overseas as well, who they don't have their sponsors here. So I would love to, I open arms to those people as well so that they feel at ease. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for attending and listening.